0864. Station's your final time cue will be with 15 seconds until airtime. Mark, 15 seconds until airtime.
Oregon is going to the Final Four.
The following is a Learfield presentation of the Oregon Sports Network.
And Oregon is going to play in the national championship game.
Welcome to Duck Insider. Duck Insider.
Man, it feels great to be a Duck. Give it to me, baby. My house. I'm taking it there.
Their competitors, they'll want to put the O on.
Three, got it!
We're going to compete to a standard every day.
The Oregon standard.
Rebound, tap it in! 1 point more to go!
The opportunity to play, put Oregon on your chest, should mean a great deal to you.
Unloads on one into left field, back toward the wall. Gone!
This program is staged to compete and to win championships.
Oregon wins!
This is Duck Insider on the Oregon Sports Network from Learfield, presented by OnPoint Community Credit Union. Better banking, local solutions. Live from the Country Financial Studio, let's talk Oregon athletics.
Boy, it's a beautiful day here in the state of Oregon, huh? Alex Stimson here in the Country Financial Studio, filling in for Joey Mack, who is not here. I am not Joey. But hello, substitute teacher in today, but we are going to stick to the curriculum. We're not rolling in any TVs from the hallway. I need you to open your textbooks, and we're going to start with Oregon men's golf. Oregon men's golf advancing to the NCAA finals today. A big performance here in round 3 out in Michigan, just outside of East Lansing, out in Spartans country. And ended up being a pretty comfortable day for the Ducks. You can see they're moving on. They finished in 3rd. Top 5 teams advancing out of the regional. And so Casey Martin's squad moving on. And a really good day all around as the course really firmed up, it seemed, out there in Bath, Michigan. Beautiful complex, one of the top 100 public courses in the country out in Michigan. Owen Averitt kind of pacing the Ducks today. He finished with a top 5 finish, overall finished at 6 under. Overall, 4 Ducks actually finishing in the top 20. Gregory Solhag at 4 under, finishing 11th. Nate Stember at 3 under. Grayson Leash at 1 under. So a really good performance by the Ducks as they move on. They will now play over at Grayhawk down in Scottsdale. Got some good weather up in Michigan, but imagine even better weather down in Arizona. So looking forward to that. Again, NCAA finals coming up at Grayhawk in Scottsdale. That's May 26th through the 31st. So congratulations to Casey Martin's squad. They'll head back home, get some time off, and then gear up for an NCAA finals run. Going to pivot to baseball now, is looking ahead to the postseason for Oregon baseball. They wrap up the regular season this weekend. That's why Joey Mack is actually in transit as we speak. He's heading over to the Mountain Time Zone where the Oregon Ducks will wrap up things for the regular season at Utah, looking to kind of solidify their spot as they head into the Pac-12 tournament. We heard from a lot of baseball staff members and players yesterday, starting with Coach Waz. He talked about the upcoming series, looking forward to bouncing back after a bit of a rough series against Washington, but getting back on the horse. Let's hear from the bench boss, Mark Wasikowski.
What are some of those things that you took away from watching film over the last couple of days?
Well, I mean, there was a lot, specifically, probably spent a lot of time with some key guys offensively, trying to help them get themselves going and so forth. I thought that was one of the takeaways that we had, the pitching side of it. Obviously there's, things that you can control and things that you can't. One of the things you can't control is injuries and who's available to pitch. And so that's uncontrollable. What is controllable is those that are pitching, with things that they can improve upon, and I think Coach Angier's clearly addressing those things with those guys. And so, it's been productive to look at the tape and review the tape with some student athletes and seek for improvement.
I don't think I've asked you before, but what does the tape process look like for you guys? Like, how does that go about?
It doesn't stop. It's the tape process is probably too extensive, to be honest with you, but you're trying to take a lot of information and make it simple because, you have 20 hours a week for student athletes. That's the rules, 4 a day. You can't violate rules. That's not something we're about. And so you need to take a simple concept or maybe a concept that's challenging and make it simple for a student athlete and of a time-friendly value. Mm-hmm. And so showing people that and maybe taking the amount of time that it takes to invest in it, basically what you're asking is this: when is time available, or the videotape available after a game? It's basically available after the game, right after the game. And so it takes probably a half hour to watch the pitching side of it, another half hour to watch the hitting side of it, and then to go into it in great detail, quite a bit more time. You're doing it for scouting the opponent. You're also doing it for the pros and cons of what your pitchers or hitters are doing.
What did you guys feel like you needed to improve offensively this week? You still scored 18 runs in 3 games, which would have liked a little more, but still not bad.
It doesn't matter if you score 18 or 5 or 3. If you win 1-0 3 times, I'd take that more than scoring 18 and going 0-3. And so, at the end of it, it's about a win or a loss. Things to take out of the tape when it comes to the offensive pieces. You're just looking to clean up. There's things we did exceptionally well. The way we ran the bases in terms of the stolen base, stealing bases and exposing the opponent that way was tremendous. Being aggressive at the right time was lacking. We were aggressive when we were losing late in the game that cost us some opportunities. Where early in the game we were aggressive getting into the runners in the scoring position and needed to maybe execute at bats better with situational hitting with a guy on third and nobody out, or a guy on third and 1 out type at bats. So, addressing those things with student athletes and showing them maybe where they went wrong with their approach to where they can basically execute those situational at bats better this coming weekend.
Rich Burke on the Pac-12 broadcast said Jace is dealing with some finger injury, some nerve thing in there. Just what's his status going into this weekend, and how is he progressing?
Well, all I'm told is he keeps progressing. He will be traveling with us on the road trip. He traveled with us to USC. He was on that road trip as well. We're going to make a decision on when he's active and what's going on when more information we get. He's progressing. I don't know. I'm a little bit skittish on the fact that he'll be ready for this weekend. I would bet that he's not. Mm-hmm. But I know he's feeling as though the Pac-12 tournament would clearly be a place where he's feeling more comfortable with. And ultimately, it's a feel thing for him. I can't speed that curve up with an injury. Injuries are injuries, and whenever he feels like, he's in a place where he can compete at 100% level, that we're all for.
Seemed like there was a 1 to 2 week timeline for Isaac Ayon the last time we talked, so last week. Just what's his status, and again going into this Utah series?
He's progressed and passed every test so far. Usually these guys with these arm injuries, they have a setback somewhere in there, and so far, knock on wood, we haven't had a setback. But again, these are things that he's not going through just like he's got a headache, take a couple aspirin and he'll be okay. Nevertheless, he's passed the tests that he needs to pass. Hopefully he can, be available at least for the Pac-12 tournament. And then potentially, we have to play well, but through postseason run. So that's what our intentions are. And we'll learn more by the day, obviously.
What about Austin Anderson? Any updates on how he's doing?
Again, same kind of scenario. He's been out for a couple weeks and it's hurt. That's a guy who's got less than a 1 ERA for you, and him not being available is a big deal. Even if he's just a 1 inning guy or a 1 inning a couple times a weekend guy, that's huge, and he's been effective. So far, I don't want to jinx anything, but it sounds like he's not only going to travel with us, but should be ready to go for this weekend. Every day we learn more.
Jacob Walsh got a couple opposite field hits, including a 2-run homer and then the double, I think, in the 8th inning. Just how important is it for him to try to take the ball opposite field and get a swing back in line?
Yeah, and then it seems like the pull swing shows up, doesn't it? I don't know. It's funny how hitting is when you stay on the ball, and then it seems like the entire swing comes together for him. It sure seemed that way with Jacob, and he had a really good Sunday. Hopefully he can continue that. When a guy like him gets hot, or an offense with as many good hitters as there are in this offense, when they get hot, they can really carry a team. And, when you're going through the injury bug on the pitching side of it, then you're looking for your offense to step up. And this is an offense that can do that and carry us. And boy, this is the right time to do it.
Is there an update on Dallas as well? The guy who
he's going to travel with us, same kind of thing. We haven't had a practice yet this week for us to know the specifics of how he's doing and what he's feeling. But he's going to travel with us this week. And I know his mind is he should be able to compete right away.
Sabine's been DHing the last couple of games. Any chance to get into the field, or you feel comfortable with Drew Smith there and DHing Sabine?
Well, again, I'm not sure. I mean, when Sabine, one of the tells for me was when he put a ball in the gap. And if I think that if he was feeling great, he would have put the ball in the gap and probably went for two. He put the ball in the gap and was fairly comfortable with one. And that's not because the kid doesn't want to go to second. I mean, my goodness, we've seen him be so aggressive that everybody holds their breath when he's running from first to second at times with some of his aggressiveness. He plays with that passion. So I think we'll know that answer by just watching his play. If he starts going for it more on those balls that are the in-between balls, then we'll know that it's time for him to be in the field and playing. And until then, Drew's played plenty good enough to be out there.
In 2 months, the NCAA fiscal year will reset. And I think the last time I asked you about an additional coach on the staff was probably 2 months ago. Just any update on that and adding on to your staff or maybe retaining Marcus Hinkle?
I love Coach Hinkle. And so, as soon as we learn more about funding and all that kind of stuff and what the intentions of the university, my bosses tell me we're going to do everything that we possibly can do to, compete for championships at the Pac-12 level. And I've never questioned what they tell me. They've been great. So I love Marcus Hinkle. I want to retain him. I'd love to be able to do everything we can for that position.
A lot of injuries, obviously, to your pitching side of the ball. Just have you and Angier talked about a rotation? Will it look similar to what it was this past weekend against Washington?
Too early to tell. Not sure. I would anticipate probably starting Logan Mercado on game one. I'm not sure about the rest of the weekend and how to best utilize the arms that we have available. And quite candidly, even if there were guys that I could say, yeah, this guy should be starting, this guy should be starting. I mean, at this time of year, we're at a point where it's win today. It's win. If you got a game today, let's win that one. Let's get to tomorrow when we get to tomorrow. More so than just planning out a 3-game weekend. This is playoff time. It's time, day to day, win today.
Did you learn anything more from the tape about what went wrong with pace on Saturday?
What went wrong with pace? I think Washington did a really good job of hitting this weekend. I credit Coach Boyer like I did before in a press conference. I think he did a marvelous job getting his hitters prepared, and they were hot. I think it's really hard to keep hitters hot. You get them hot for a weekend or two, and then, it can be fickle. But I think this last weekend he did a tremendous job of preparing those guys. I didn't think Jackson Pace's percentages were bad whatsoever. He got hit, and, I don't think I've ever experienced that type of inning before. I don't want to experience it again on the wrong side of it. On the offensive side, I wouldn't mind it. I think that'd be a lot of fun. I'm sure they had a lot of fun with that inning, but I don't know. I think in that situation, it might have been a lot more to Washington's credit than somebody else's blaming somebody else.
You guys head out to Utah for a 3-game series to finish up the regular season. Just overall, what have you seen from them? They're 11-8 at home, 8-19 on the road. Just what are the difficulties of playing them at home?
Beautiful ballpark they play in. They feature more left-handed on the mound than maybe any other Pac-12 team. They've got 2 guys with double-digit home runs, one left, one right, that both can hit the ball out of the ballpark, and they score in bunches when they score. It sounds to me like the weather should be nice in Utah this weekend. That should be fantastic, and we're just looking forward to getting out there and playing against them.
The Utes first baseman Jaden Kiernan is at 4'11" this year. I know we've kind of talked about how you don't try to limit just one guy. You want to limit everybody on from your pitching staff. But how do you go about limiting him, as he's clearly the Utes' best hitter?
I don't know that he's clearly the Utes' best hitter. He's one of several hitters that are really good. You've got a couple other guys that are really good as well. Another guy named Kopp that's right-handed that I think he hit a ball against Oregon State that hasn't landed yet. That was a pretty big shot for those guys in the arm on a Friday night. They've also got another left-handed hitter that's a tremendous left-handed hitter with double-digit home runs. So they've got, it isn't just 1 or 2 guys that make that thing go, and they've been able to score some runs. As a matter of fact, they were involved in, I think, a 40 or 50 run game this year. And so for them to be able to score that many in a game, yeah, they gave up a lot, I guess, that night. But still, that's a lot of runs. That's hard to do. And these guys can score in bunches, and they're going to be good. We need to be up to the test.
You say it's postseason time. It's obviously Pac-12 tournament coming up. Finish the regular season. Just after this sweep against Washington, what's your message to the team probably going forward as once you guys get into practice this week?
Improvement. We need to get better. It's hard because, you've got guys that are, they don't want to lose. And yet sometimes when you win 3 games, a lot of things can get hidden. When you lose 3 games, a lot of things can get hidden as well. You're just trying to recenter them and get them back onto the now. Really reflecting on the negatives and stuff like that and reliving them over and over again to where it brings a negative feeling to a practice or whatever that is going to keep you from improvement is the devil. You can't have it. And so it's really about improvement. And what are we going to do? What adjustments are we going to do to improve? Getting on the tape, making sure that the adjustments that the coaching staff have identified get addressed and addressed immediately. And it literally is back to this week and back to Thursday's opening series game against Utah. We need to win that game and put our best foot forward doing it.
A lot of good stuff there from Coach Waz, and a lot to like about Coach Waz, obviously what he's done in elevating the program since he's gotten here. But from a fan perspective, I always just really appreciate how direct and honest he is in these media sessions. He's never a yes, no, we're on to Cincinnati kind of guy. He'll sit there and really hone in when things are good, when things are not so good, and good stuff as always from Coach Waz. Best of luck to him as he and the Oregon baseball team heads to Utah starting Thursday. Joey Mack on the call Thursday through Saturday as they wrap up the regular season. We've got more Oregon baseball stuff on the other side. We're going to take a quick break here on Duck Insider on the Oregon Sports Network from Learfield. This is Duck Insider presented by OnPoint Community Credit Union.
Summer's here, and with a new Toyota, you can go out and make memories that make summer, summer. Like catching a road game in a RAV4. I got it!
Toyota, let's go places. Participating dealers only. Event ends May 31st. Dealer inventory may vary.
Hey Duck fans, we're all about protecting our home turf here in Eugene. You should do the same for your home with Country Financial Insurance. Most home insurance doesn't account for inflation, but with Country Financial, yours can. If something happens to your home, make sure you can rebuild the same house in the same place. Call a local representative or 866-COUNTRY and get a solid defense for your home. Home insurance policies issued by Country Mutual Insurance Company, Country Casualty Insurance Company, or Country Preferred Insurance Company, Bloomington, Illinois. Property must meet age and condition requirements, which vary by state.
Summer's here, and with a new Toyota, you can go out and make memories that make summer, summer. Like catching a road game in a RAV4. I got it!
Toyota, let's go places. Participating dealers only. Event ends May 31st. Dealer inventory may vary.
Your daily dose of Oregon athletics. This is Duck Insider from Learfield.
When you're high, you feel different. You think different, you talk different, you draw different, you listen to music different, but you probably knew that. Problem is, you also drive different, and not in a good way. That's why driving high is illegal everywhere. So if you're high, just don't drive. Make a plan to get a sober ride. Because if you feel different, you drive different. Brought to you by NHTSA and the Ad Council.
To protect his home and family from disaster, Steve used courage, wisdom, and his camera phone.
That should do it.
Way to go, Steve! By simply taking digital pictures of his family's important documents, Steve can always have them stored safely online, no matter when disaster strikes. Learn other simple ways to protect your home and family before a natural disaster at ready.gov. That's ready.gov. A message from FEMA and the Ad Council.
Welcome back to the Country Financial Studio. Alex Stimson filling in for Joey Mack here as Joey Mack hitting the road and Oregon baseball wrapping up the regular season. We got more Oregon baseball interviews to get to a couple of players, starting with Colby Shade. The Ducks facing off against Utah, who play in a AAA ballpark, actually, home of the Salt Lake Beast, so a lot of real estate for the outfielders to cover. Colby Shade talked about that and how much fun the challenge of that is that awaits him. Here's Colby Shade.
What's been the kind of the message or the general vibe, and maybe the clubhouse? You guys haven't had a practice yet this week, but what's the vibe coming from there?
Obviously we just got to get better this week, kind of do everything we can, but also enjoy it. We're getting down to the end here, and of course every team has seniors, so every day is just a goal to get another day on of the jersey back on those guys and kind of extend their season and just play for each other the rest of the way.
Obviously, you guys put a lot of time into reviewing some game film and trying to simplify that and what hitters need to do. What were some of the approaches that you think you need to take this next weekend?
Just more timing stuff. Just how can I do better in certain spots? I know I missed a couple opportunities with runners on base and stuff like that. So just kind of when we go through practice, make it more game-like, make it more challenging, and so we can come through in those spots.
We didn't get to talk to you guys this past weekend, but what did Washington do on the mound so effective to kind of stall your guys' offense?
I think they just minimized when we had opportunities, and they really controlled the momentum. And I mean, it felt like there was a lot of times where we could have fought back and almost run away with a game, and we just came up short, and they found a way to minimize those runs.
In the clubhouse, you're kind of an older guy. You and Tanner really close. Just who are some of the voices that have stepped up after this week as you guys head into postseason contention?
Yeah, I mean, not really looking too much into the postseason. Just it's another baseball game. I mean, obviously there's more to it, but really just it's a baseball game, and as long as we're together and we play for each other, we'll be just fine.
You guys kind of struggled with runners in scoring position. I think you mentioned you had a couple missed opportunities there. Just how are you guys looking to get back into your team's normal form of contributing with runners in scoring position?
Yeah, I think it's just getting back to what we've been doing, and I mean, we're a really great offense, and we know that, and I think everyone else knows that, and so just getting back to what we do and not really freak out or worry about, oh, it's one bad weekend, just get back to what we were doing.
It's a AAA ballpark, big gaps. Do you just lick your chops when you play in a ballpark like that as a center fielder?
Yeah, I think I have a lot of fun just knowing that there's a lot of balls I could probably get to that might leave the yard here or leave the yard somewhere else. So it's really fun to just kind of see where I'm at on that scale.
Have you ever clocked your speed to a ball? Do you have any idea?
No, I've never done that.
Riku robs a home run this last week and probably his best play as a right fielder. Just how have you seen him grow over the course of the season out there in the outfield?
Yeah, I think it was early on is a little tough because that was his first time ever playing the outfield, and I think every day you see that he's getting a little more comfortable, and it's really fun to watch because he's a really good player, and especially with the fence, and kind of at first I know he'd just stop and wouldn't even go to the fence, and so now that he's at least getting to the fence and making those plays, and I think I think it might have been Saturday or Sunday, there's a ball that hits the wall and he just straight up ran into the wall, and just the steps that he's giving to at least give effort for those balls instead of just letting them drop, it's really cool to see.
It sounds kind of silly that he'd be kind of afraid of the wall, but you as a veteran center fielder, how scary is that wall?
I mean, shoot, I don't even know. We've had some rough collisions with that wall, but I think you'll beat it more times than it'll beat you. So just getting used to it and getting used to, when you need to jump or stuff like that, it all just takes time.
It may have happened a while ago, but was there a moment where you first realized you're going to win more than the wall is going to win?
Yeah, I think once you hit it a couple times and you realize that it doesn't hurt that bad, then you realize that you're going to win most of the time.
How about the power with Riku? I mean, did you expect him to hit 5 home runs this year?
No, I didn't expect him at all. He gives me crap every day that I'm only one ahead of him, and so I guess I got to hit more because I can't let him have more power than me.
Did you? I'm sure you recognize that a lot of young players, young kids that are watching you guys in the stands. Well, I had a bunch of them say that you're a great role model. What do you say to little leaguers at this point that want to be a good defensive center fielder?
I'd say just work your tail off and just have as much fun as you can. I mean, my approach to baseball is just play it like you're 5 years old and just have as much fun. It's a challenging game of mental ups and downs, and I think if you just have as much fun as you can, those won't get in the way too often.
Does losing your hat help on that?
Yeah, a little bit.
Something to watch down the stretch, the Nishida Shade home run race as we hit the final stretch of the regular season. More Oregon baseball stuff to get to as we switch to the mound. Grayson Grinsell, one of the many freshmen that the Ducks have really leaned on, and many of those freshmen have really excelled. Grayson being one of them has been an exceptional left-hander. Let's hear from Grayson Grinsell, who spoke with the media yesterday.
Grayson, what did you think of your performance this weekend, just how you did overall?
I mean, I feel like I did pretty good. I mean, I just tried to execute whatever Coach Angier called and had trust in the coaching staff for what they had on their scouting reports for the hitters.
You were out there a few innings. Were you expecting to kind of go in a long relief role there?
Yes and no. I mean, I knew going in kind of early after Grabman, I knew I was going to have to try and eat up a couple innings to help the other guys out, and I just did the best I could.
Is there a different mentality that goes into that for you instead of just coming in in a lefty-lefty scenario?
No, I prepare the same way regardless of how how many innings I pitch, whoever I'm going to face, I'm still going to prepare the same way and just do what I can.
Waz was really complimentary to Billy Boyer, Washington's hitting coach, this past weekend and today. Just what did Washington do to, do so well against you guys as a whole staff?
I mean, they hit good pitches. I mean, every pitcher, looking back at the film, everyone made good pitches, but they know how to hit, and they hit well pitches, and good offense beats good defense.
How difficult is that, though, as a pitcher, where you're hitting your spot, you're making the right call, you're correct sequence, but they're still going through and hitting it?
I mean, it can definitely get frustrating, but I mean, you have to know you're going to give up hits here and there. You can't be perfect all the time, and just kind of going there with that mentality that you're going to give up a hit every once in a while. It helps a lot.
What's it like coming in with inherited runners? Like that's a difficult thing when you're a bullpen guy. What's your mentality with inherited runners?
Honestly, just trying to pick the guy up in front of you. I mean, I've been in a situation where I leave inherited runners on for the guy behind me, and when they pick me up, it's a really great feeling. So I just want to try and help the guy out who I came in for and help him out the best I can.
As a true freshman, you've become one of the more reliable arms out of the pen. What does that mean to you and your confidence moving forward?
It definitely helps a lot. It helps too that it shows that the coaching staff has trusted me to put me in situations like that, and really just go out there and execute what I can and prepare the best I can.
You've had some pretty good strikeout numbers too. What do you kind of attribute to your ability to miss bats?
I mean, the coaches have always told me that I have a very good fastball. So, I mean, kind of just trusting what they call and just throwing it.
What makes it a very good fastball? Spin rate? Is it just?
I'm not really sure what all the numbers mean, but Brett Thomas tells me I have a high IVB, which I guess means I have a lot of ride on my fastball, and so I just kind of go off what they tell me and trust them.
So you're not a huge analytics guy? Like that's not something that drives your philosophies?
No, I don't really understand the numbers. I know BT and Coach Angier understand that stuff, so I leave it to them and trust what they say.
Is there a guy on staff who's a big analytics guy who always wants to care about his numbers, always looks at them?
I don't really know. I mean, every guy's kind of different. Every guy has their own quirks and stuff, so we all kind of just do our thing.
Since you guys haven't had a practice yet, but just in general, I asked the same thing to Colby, just the vibe of the clubhouse. What does it feel like? How are you guys after this Washington sweep?
We were definitely a little down after Sunday, but I think coming into this week knowing, we still have a lot left to prove, and we know what we're capable of, and really just enjoying the time we have left with each other, because, we only have 5 guaranteed games left, so we're just trying to enjoy that. And we got legacy players here that I'm playing with, so I'm just grateful to be around them and just enjoy the time I have left with them.
Big picture, what do you want to work on? Like, what's the next evolution in your career?
Honestly, I don't really know. I haven't really thought that far yet. I'm just trying to enjoy this last bit, and then once summer comes around, I'll talk with Daryl and Coach Angier and Waz and see what they think would be best for me and go from there.
Grayson Grinsell, not an analytics guy. Pick up ball, hold ball, throw ball. He's got one of the coolest motions, I think, on the team. Maybe just because he's a lefty. I don't know, like a lefty golf swing always just looks a little bit more pure. But Grinsell, along with a whole bunch of freshmen on the team, have really been relied on this year, and they've come through. Grinsell's been one of the best arms out of the pen for Coach Waz and Jake Angier this season. A lot of baseball stuff. We're going to take a quick break. When we get back, we're going to talk with Rob Moseley about a whole host of things across the athletic department. More after this in the Oregon Sports Network from Learfield. This is Duck Insider, presented by OnPoint Community Credit Union.
At Shadow Hills Country Club, we're more than just an award-winning golf course and practice facility. Our events team offers all-inclusive event pricing that allows us to take care of all the details while you enjoy your event. Our indoor and outdoor venues offer you a wide variety of fully staffed options that put the focus on you. From weddings to business and social events, at Shadow Hills Country Club Events Center, you get the benefits of a resort atmosphere and amenities in a peaceful country setting, just minutes from downtown Eugene. Call for a tour today or visit shadowhillsevents.com.
From the weight room to the classroom, on the field and off it, OnPoint proudly supports University of Oregon athletics because student athletes do so much more than bring us pride on game day. They bring our entire community together in Eugene and all across Oregon. So whether you're watching the game in the stadium, at home, or at your favorite local business, their success makes all of us stronger. OnPoint Community Credit Union. OnPointCU.com. Federally insured by NCUA. Equal housing opportunity.
You're listening to Duck Insider. Duck Insider on the Oregon Sports Network from Learfield.
Chris Jakimick, I served in the United States Air Force and I deployed 3 times. Being a veteran, it's interwoven into your DNA. It is really the absence of the connection and the purpose that can really drive a lot of veterans to some negative thoughts. For those who are in a suicidal crisis, the window of time to save somebody's life is very short. Our duty is to protect ourselves and protect our families. And one way you can do that is store your weapons safely. Store all your guns securely. Help stop suicide.
Brought to you by End Family Fire and the Ad Council.
Hi, I'm Smokey Bear, and I made an assistant to help you prevent wildfires.
Dude, I've got this. I've been camping since I was 5 years old.
But I am a camping influencer.
You know what? I'll bet you $5. Assistant Smokey, what is the best way to put out a campfire?
To put out a campfire, drown with water, stir, drown again. Then make sure the fire is out cold by feeling with the back of your hand.
Wait, really?
I'll take the $5.
Learn more at SmokeyBear.com.
Brought to you by the U.S. Forest Service, your state forester, and the Ad Council.
Back inside the Country Financial Studio, once again, Alex Stimson filling in for Joey Mack, who is on the road, but kind of not really, because we're about to hear from Joey Mack. It's weird. You're just going to have to roll with me. Joey Mack sitting down yesterday with Rob Moseley, who's the editor-in-chief and overall just kind of departmental czar of Oregon athletics, talking about everything across the spectrum, a track and field championship for the women of Oregon and track and field, Oregon softball regionals coming up, men's golf, and maybe a little trip to Europe, too. Let's hear from Rob Moseley.
We're talking on a Tuesday because currently, as this is airing with one Alexander Stimson, Rob is on a flight to Arkansas, and he just got back from how long was your flight back?
My travel day was 28 hours.
28 hours?
Door to door.
Was it worth the 28 hours for where you went? Tell fans why you weren't here last week.
It was, yeah. So my wife and I went on a cruise in and out of the Venice, Italy area, down the coast of Croatia, which I highly recommend.
Nice.
We spent a day in Slovenia,
wow,
which has major Willamette Valley vibes.
Really?
Highly recommend.
I don't know that I would have thought that.
Yeah, we got it's about the same latitude as southern Washington, like Olympia-ish.
Interesting.
And very much, very green. We got rained on.
Sure.
We were like the only people in the cruise group that were like, it's like home. This is great. But yeah, then we got off the boat Friday and went to Amsterdam for like 3 days.
Nice.
And I have a new favorite city in the world.
Amsterdam.
It is awesome.
That's the city, huh?
Yeah, not for any like the cliche reasons. Like we actually like walked the street that like the red light district's on, and it's just so seedy and gross and like, but man, it just with the canals and the bikes and it's just so vibrant and alive and yeah.
Who knew?
Amsterdam is awesome. Yeah. Had a great dinner that Coach Scholander recommended. Nils came with the dinner rack. Yeah.
All right. Thanks, Coach.
But yeah, so we woke up in Amsterdam Monday, 5 a.m. local time. So that would have been Sunday night at 8 p.m. Pacific time.
Okay.
And we got back right about midnight, just before midnight last night Pacific time. So yeah, like 28 hours door to door.
Dateline.
Yeah,
Weird.
it was brutal. We went, the biggest leg of our journey was Frankfurt to Seattle.
Okay.
So that was like 10 and a half hours. And then that flight got out late, so we missed our connection. So we sat in Seattle for several hours. The nice thing is that we were in Seattle literally for the hockey game.
Oh.
So there was plenty to do. This is way more than people wanted to know.
This is great. But so wait, were you there long enough that you contemplated leaving the Seattle airport, going to a hockey?
No.
So when I was stuck overnight at O'Hare one time.
Yeah.
Actually traveling to softball.
Overnight would have been a different story, although a hockey ticket.
Probably couldn't have gotten one.
Particularly given that the game was in Dallas.
Oh.
It would have been tough.
Dang.
Yeah,
See,
but it was on TV.
It was on TV. That's good. So a lot of Seattle people. But yeah, I contemplated because I was in Chicago. I think I got there. It was like a red eye to Chicago, so I got there at like 4 or 5 in the morning, and my next flight didn't leave till like 3 or 4 in the afternoon. And I contemplated just like
go to a Cubs game or something.
Going around, going around Chicago. 21.
That'd be a tough time to do it because O'Hare's like ways out of town.
It's out
right?
there.
Yeah.
So that's ended up why I didn't do it, actually. 20, I think I was 21 at the time. I wasn't very adventurous,
right?
I guess. So
back to your point on off the top, though. If I'm still on a plane right now, things have gone awry.
Oh.
Yeah, hopefully I'm already in Arkansas.
Okay, good.
Right now.
Well, maybe Alex, as this pre-recorded segment ends, Alex can give a live update as he's actually sitting here in studio right now, tomorrow's host of the show, which now you're hearing today. That was like crossing the date line for Duck Insider right there. That was wild.
I'm in Inception right now.
Welcome back.
Thank you.
Let me update you on what you missed, okay? The Pac-12 champion women's track and field team.
Yes.
That's the highlight.
Yes.
So when you leave town, track and field on the women's side performs exceptionally well. The Diamond Sports, though, apparently you're the good luck charm, so I hope that's why they're bringing you to Fayetteville.
Absolutely. Yeah, I did watch a fair amount of we strategically we did a poor job on the time change because like the first few days we were in Europe, we just sort of like whenever we felt like snoozing, we snoozed.
Oh.
And so we were up at all different hours of the day.
Yeah.
But what that did mean is there were some times I was up at like 4 a.m. watching baseball or softball.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, the games went how they went.
Yeah, I didn't I've often said that the broadcaster sounds a lot better when the team wins.
Oh, 100%.
And
the stories are crisper.
Yeah.
The recap's better.
I'll tell you what, the best portion of the broadcast all weekend from this broadcaster, the first 4 innings on Sunday for baseball.
Yeah.
Other than that,
we were winning, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Other than that, broadcaster wasn't very good this weekend.
Yeah. Well,
it's amazing how
you were leaving the ball up.
I was.
And they were hammering it.
Yeah. Yeah, me and a few other people, unfortunately.
Yes.
So, so in all seriousness, though, it's a heck of an accomplishment for track and field. I mean, you talk about any time there's a coaching transition, it's difficult.
Yeah.
Ducks won a conference crown after that coaching transition.
We've spent so much time in our segments this year talking about kind of the portal and this new era of college athletics, and how fortunes can change so dramatically really quickly right now, due to the portal. And I think the two track and field programs were on different sides of that equation.
No doubt. Yeah, good point.
Not to suggest the men lost a bunch of people. Some of the impactful losses for the men in the last few years have been more just guys who are so good they just went pro. Particularly you look on the women's side, with all the points in the throws. Thank you, transfer portal.
That's right.
In some regard, and so that's a program that just didn't miss a beat, and in fact maybe like raised the bar a little bit. Just was able to enjoy some continuity and then add some pieces and keep thriving. And the men's side, I way at the risk of getting out over my skis here, but it seems like there was more a sense of, hey, we've just got some development to do.
Yeah.
We're not going to just try to grab some transfers and, hope for some quick fixes. We're just going to use this year to develop. And, long term, this program is in great hands. And you look at the recruiting and you look at, the talent that's here, and you just, factor in some development in the next year or two for some guys that are here, as well as recruits and things like, the future looks really bright. But this year was just kind of like, hey, we're just going to keep our heads down and work, and it'll pay off down the road.
And Coach Schumacher talked about that when he was in the studio last, actually. It was during the indoor season, and he was saying, hey, it's a development period in the cross country. It's development right now, So I think that, sometimes that happens, right? Like you build, especially with a transition like this. But congratulations to the track and field team, because you and I have said this before, and I know you and I are on the same wavelength here. So it's Monday, right? The lead of the show on Monday is Pac-12 champions, right? But track and field, it's like such an expectation that there's going to be another championship, and there's always a bunch of individual titles in track and field, and it's like, so it was funny, Rob. I get through like the first 8 minutes of the show on Monday, and I've covered, Pac-12 champion, and I went, wow, I don't know if I gave that enough time today.
Yeah.
Like, but then with baseball and softball, there's a little bit more, for lack of a better description, like
intricacy from game to game on what happens, the strategy. Track and field's a little more cut and dry, and it's amazing every time that there's a championship in track and field. I always feel that way a little bit. Like, man, you just take it for granted.
Well,
sometimes.
Another thing we've talked about, is that point. We take track and field for granted here. We're guilty of that. All of us are guilty of that, of taking their greatness over the years for granted. And so, you won a conference title. Oh, well, that's kind of what Oregon's supposed to do.
Right. Yeah.
Rob Mullins talks about, that being the expectation for programs here is you're competing for championships. For them, it's winning. Winning a conference championship is like, no, okay, you're supposed to do that. How are you doing at NCAAs? So, I think there's a lot. We're all excited to see, particularly how the women do at NCAAs. On the men's side, see Mackay back.
Yeah.
And talk about winning championships. That's a guy you kind of expect.
Right.
And he's had some bumps in his season, but to kind of be back this time of year at the top of the podium, pretty great for him.
Good point. Rob Moseley, editor-in-chief, GoDucks.com. So we're catching up with Rob. 2 weeks worth of things to talk about. So let's talk softball. You're going to be on the road with softball. So, it's interesting. Second straight year going to Arkansas for Oregon softball. And a regional last year that felt very winnable, I think, for the Ducks. And a couple games that were close, hotly contested with Arkansas a year ago. I feel like it's kind of similar this year. You feel like going into it, the Ducks have a good chance to win this regional.
Yeah, you felt for them, and with the way things ended in the regular season and in the conference tournament, they wanted so badly to be able to host because they've seen the value of hosting a regional the last couple of years, and they know that what the environment would be like at Jane Sanders, has been like in the past at Jane Sanders, and I think particularly the seniors wanted to be able to experience that. That said, if you weren't going to be able to host, this might be about as good an alternative as you could get because there is going to be some familiarity there. A place where hopefully you have some confidence because you experienced some success last year and you were very competitive with the home team. So there's, for all the reasons you wanted to host, if you're going to a foreign environment, you might say, hey, that team's going to have that confidence we wish we had.
Yeah.
Well, this Oregon team can probably bring some more confidence to this venue than they might have another place. Now, you still got to execute pitches and take good at bats and play well in the field. That's obviously way more important than all that other other stuff. But still, I would think that you go there at least feeling like, hey, okay, we know what we're getting ourselves into. Let's just play our game.
Yeah.
Really good stuff there from Mose, recapping a whole host of things, including his trip through Europe. I need to maybe get another deep dive on that, maybe on the Mighty Oregon podcast. I don't know. We'll talk about that offline. We're going to step aside for another break here. We're only halfway done with Mose. When we get back, we'll talk about a whole host more of Oregon stuff across the department. Back with more on the Oregon Sports Network from Learfield. This is Duck Insider, presented by OnPoint Community Credit Union.
Summer's here, and with a new Toyota, you can go out and make memories that make summer, summer. Like catching a road game in a RAV4. I got it!
Toyota, let's go places. Participating dealers only. Event ends May 31st. Dealer inventory may vary.
From the weight room to the classroom, on the field and off it, OnPoint proudly supports University of Oregon athletics because student athletes do so much more than bring us pride on game day. They bring our entire community together in Eugene and all across Oregon. So whether you're watching the game in the stadium, at home, or at your favorite local business, their success makes all of us stronger. OnPoint Community Credit Union, onpointcu.com. Federally insured by NCUA, Equal Housing Opportunity.
Summer's here, and with a new Toyota, you can go out and make memories that make summer, summer. Like catching a road game in a RAV4. I got it!
Toyota, let's go places. Participating dealers only. Event ends May 31st. Dealer inventory may vary.
This is Duck Insider, presented by OnPoint Community Credit Union on the Oregon Sports Network from Learfield.
It's time for today's STEM tip. Okay, you know recycling is important. No one wants plastic in the ocean. Here's a cool way to repurpose a plastic bottle. Build an awesome terrarium. Cut a large plastic bottle in half and fill the base with sand, pebbles, potting soil, and your favorite plant. I chose an African violet. Put the top of the bottle over your base and place it in the sun. Your plant will grow sealed in its own ecosystem. Fun, right? Learn more at She Can STEM. A message from the Ad Council.
This is your captain. We are going to be experiencing some slight turbulence. Please fasten your... Oh, hold on. Just got a video of my cat.
Imagine the pilot of an airplane was as confident as you are texting and driving. Seems kind of crazy when you put it like that.
Visit StopTextStopWrecks.org. A message brought to you by the National Highway Traffic Safety Administration, Project Yellow Light, and the Ad Council.
Back inside the Country Financial Studio here on Duck Insider. We're going to waste no time as there's still a lot to get to with Rob Moseley, who met with Joey Mack yesterday. Here's part 2 of that interview.
Mighty Oregon podcast, Allie Bunker.
Yep.
I mean, perfect timing for release, so well done. I don't remember when you recorded that one. You're going to have to remind me. It was a little while ago.
It was like 2 weeks ago.
Okay,
yeah,
so
yeah.
time's out really well. I mean, so Allie Bunker, all conference defensive team. As just a very unique stat line when it comes to power and not striking out over the last few years. Like, the accolades go on and on. The list is long for Allie Bunker. But I love the fact that you now on the pod, Tanner Smith and Allie Bunker, both on the Mighty Oregon podcast. I've said for them, Rob, like the parallels are amazing in the two diamond sports with two veterans that have been on the rosters for a while, just rewriting the career record books. That's a cool story, I think, heading into it for her and some other seniors now for softball.
And Bunk was great to talk to because she is a perfectionist, and it's a failure sport.
Yeah.
And so to just kind of, I love to play probably maybe more than I should, kind of amateur psychologist, in some of those conversations, kind of why are you the way that you are,
I think it's a good question.
Yeah. I mean, for all of us, or all of us are asking it of ourselves probably a fair amount. So it's fun to dive into it with someone else, or, at least hopefully they feel that way. But yeah, to, just get this sense of like kind of how did someone who is a perfectionist and is known for a long time. I mean, she talks on the pod about, she doesn't remember this, but apparently she was like 1 year old and she was like drawing or she was coloring and she like went outside the lines and she like angrily like crumpled up her paper and like threw it away. Like, no, I screwed it up. And her parents were like, oh no, we got one of those.
What have we done?
Yes.
Wow.
And so, that's kind of inherent to who she is. She just wants to do things right. And so to play a sport where if you fail 60% of the time, you're great. Like, how do you reconcile that? But I think she's found a way to come to terms with that. And, she's really good in school. And I was fascinated to hear. I just assumed, because she's clearly very, very bright, I just assumed like school always came natural to her and she always excelled. But she said that was kind of a silver lining to COVID for her.
Really?
Is, she was just sort of spinning her wheels a little bit academically. I mean, doing fine, getting by, but not like excelling. And then the pandemic just sort of forced her to ask herself, like, what are you going to get out of this? How sports, was taken away from her, but school was still there, even though it was online. And it's just like, okay, I'm just going to hammer things academically. And so she's, been rewarded for that. She's had, academic awards and, she's, accounting, just something just beyond me. But so really fun to talk to her, and just been a kid who, she was part of a really high regarded recruiting class, and she's the last one here, and never thought about transferring. Always wanted to be a Duck. We're both Ducks. I think people who stick it out and finish as Ducks, it means a lot.
Yeah,
it does. And Haley Cruz, Shea Bowden were kind of the faces initially of kind of stabilizing the program through the coaching change. But, McGowan and Bunker and Caitlin Howard, a little more behind the scenes, the stability they've helped provide through their careers, kind of the last 5 years in parallel with Coach Lombardi, invaluable. So I hope they get to experience some success over these next few weeks here and go out with some good feelings because they deserve it with everything they provide the program.
I was going to say, they deserve it.
Yeah.
That's how it feels. And you talk about then somebody, this is a really cool sort of come full circle. Allie Bunker just yesterday, softball academic all-district team.
Oh, is she?
Yeah. I mean, so you talk about the work that went into that. That's cool. That's cool to see that rewarded. A couple more thoughts for Rob Moseley. Softball, good luck. I hope that you're writing a bunch of great recaps on GoDucks.com. Also baseball.
Yes.
The other diamond sport, today, the reason Alex is hosting the show, I'm on a flight to Utah right now. because the Ducks have a critical series. It's amazing how fast things can turn. Just a few weeks ago, Oregon was a top 10, top 15 RPI team. Now the Ducks are sitting in the 40s in RPI.
Wow.
If you're in the 40s in RPI, things get a little testy for an at-large bid. Utah's at the bottom of the Pac-12 conference. Critical games. Got to win this series on the road at Utah. So here's hoping that Rob Moseley being back in the United States is good luck.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, I cannot pitch myself, but hopefully that brings some good juju to that pitching staff, because you talk about seeing both sides of things. I mean, we knew the youth of this staff and kind of the inconsistencies that could possibly bring with it this season. And we've been riding the roller coaster. There's been some high points for sure, but now kind of they've gone through the other side of it recently, and hopefully now there's another upturn here at the perfect time.
Live update: the Ducks are now 39 in RPI.
Oh, nice.
This is what changes so fast around college baseball, and so at the end of this segment, Alex should probably look also.
Right.
Because
the Ducks were 39.
Yeah, the Ducks were 39 yesterday at 11:46 a.m. when we're talking.
Right.
But yeah, so that's how fast it can change, though. And I will say, like I was kind of curious your thoughts on this, just in general. And I know it was tough because you weren't consuming it since you were on vacation as much as you normally would. But I like the fact that both baseball and softball, for baseball it's the second year of this. This year was the first year for softball for the conference tournaments.
Yep.
I'm a fan of conference tournaments in general.
Yeah.
I'm surprised that for two sports that the Pac-12 traditionally is so powerful in, I'm surprised that this is the first couple years that we've seen the conference tournaments. You're a fan?
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
For sure. Now, last year was 2-Q for baseball.
Didn't go well.
Yeah. So we haven't actually won a game in either one of the tournaments yet.
That's correct.
Yeah. Get back to me.
Okay.
After next week.
Okay, I can do that.
Yeah.
Just in general.
Right
though,
now, not a fan.
Yeah. All right. I get that. Yeah.
No.
Now that you're saying that,
as an event. Yeah. No. It's the postseason.
Right.
It starts off the postseason, and that environment is fun. It is just sort of a different level of competition, and to bring kind of everybody together, or almost everybody together, I guess, in baseball.
Yeah, it's top 9 of 11.
Yeah. That's fun too. So it'd be nice to see softball single elimination.
Yes.
It'd be nice to go to a double elimination.
It's interesting.
No idea what the reasoning is for that.
I asked Coach Lombardi about that, and she actually liked the single elimination.
Really?
Yeah, she was a fan of it, that it sort of gives you that make or break postseason feeling. Because that's, in some ways, that's part of why I like the conference tournaments, because, for example, Oregon baseball until last year had no semblance of what a regional really felt like, right? Like, you hear Diamond coaches talk all the time in the regional format about how important it is to win the first game, right? With the way that your pitching sets up, the schedule, all these things. But if you never practice that, I think that there is an advantage to a team that goes through a conference tournament that has some feeling of double elimination like the regional bracket does. I'm into it.
Yeah.
All right. Now, lastly, what are you going to be writing about the next few weeks?
Softball. Hopefully, a lot of softball.
That's what I like to hear.
And then we'll see. Hopefully, it's Wednesday now, right?
Yeah.
So hopefully, men's golf just played really well.
That's right.
This morning.
Updates from Alex coming up.
And secured a spot at Greyhawk for NCAAs. And,
that'd be great.
Because that's an awesome event. I was lucky enough to go there last year, and so hopefully they're going there. And if there's some overlap between baseball and golf as there was last year, maybe the stars will align. I'll get to go to Arizona again.
Great.
It'd be fun.
I'm flying to Arizona on Monday if you need to catch a ride.
Ooh.
Live updates following up on that conversation quickly. Yes, Oregon men's golf, they're going to Greyhawk. And RPI numbers, this just breaking across the wire, still 39. Thank you. We're going to take a quick break here, our final break here of the show. We'll be back with more on the Oregon Sports Network from Learfield. This is Duck Insider presented by OnPoint Community Credit Union.
From the weight room to the classroom, on the field and off it, OnPoint proudly supports University of Oregon athletics because student athletes do so much more than bring us pride on game day. They bring our entire community together in Eugene and all across Oregon. So whether you're watching the game in the stadium, at home, or at your favorite local business, their success makes all of us stronger. OnPoint Community Credit Union, onpointcu.com. Federally insured by NCUA, Equal Housing Opportunity.
At Shadow Hills Country Club, we're more than just an award-winning golf course and practice facility. Our events team offers all-inclusive event pricing that allows us to take care of all the details while you enjoy your event. Our indoor and outdoor venues offer you a wide variety of fully staffed options that put the focus on you. From weddings to business and social events, at Shadow Hills Country Club Events Center, you get the benefits of a resort atmosphere and amenities in a peaceful country setting, just minutes from downtown Eugene. Call for a tour today or visit shadowhillsevents.com.
More Duck Insider coming up on the Oregon Sports Network from Learfield.
Here's a fun fact for you. The average chameleon can point their eyes in 2 different directions. On the other hand, the average human can't. So unless you're a chameleon, there's absolutely no way you can focus on texting and driving at the same time. So don't do it, unless you're a chameleon.
Visit StopTextsStopWrecks.org. A message brought to you by the National Highway Traffic Safety Administration, Project Yellow Light, and the Ad Council.
Guys, it's me, Isabella Gomez, filling in for Smokey Bear because he's got more to say than just...
Only you can prevent wildfires.
Like, if you're outside enjoying a barbecue, don't let a hamburger distract you from fire safety. Make sure you aren't dumping your hot coals or ashes onto the ground because that could start a wildfire. So take wildfire prevention seriously and let's save the world one day at a time. Juntos con Smokey Bear, podemos hacerlo. Go to smokeybear.com to learn more about wildfire prevention.
Brought to you by the U.S. Forest Service, your state forester, and the Ad Council.
Welcome back inside the Country Financial Studio. Huge thank you to Joey Mack for letting me substitute teach today. We're going to wrap things up the way we kind of started it, giving a huge shout out to Casey Martin and the Oregon men's golf team advancing to the NCAA finals, and Greyhawk Golf Club down in Scottsdale, Arizona. Huge performance today. Course got really tough for all teams involved out in Michigan, just outside of Lansing. A really good performance, especially down the stretch. Owen Averett pacing the flock with the top 5 finish for the Ducks. 4 Ducks finishing inside the top 20. Really, really good stuff from Casey Martin. Congratulations to them. They'll head home, and then May 26th through the 31st, it's down to Scottsdale. Should be some good weather down them as they hunt for a great finish at the NCAA finals. Want to cap things off by a big day tomorrow, not just for the department, but across the entire university. It is Ducks Give tomorrow. It's essentially the university's campus-wide day of giving. It's the 8th annual Giving Day. It's a 24-hour campaign and a university-wide effort to inspire alumni, parents, friends, you listening at home, to donate and support the University of Oregon. Helps not just student-athletes, but students all across campus, and a lot of great initiatives. If you want to learn more, you can visit ducksgive.uoregon.edu. A lot of great information about how you can donate and help out the University of Oregon. And we'll have more information tomorrow, as tomorrow is Ducks Give Day. For now, signing off from the Country Financial Studio, Alex Stimson saying so long on the Oregon Sports Network from Learfield. Thanks for watching Duck Insider, presented by OnPoint Community Credit Union.
Adopt US Kids presents What to Expect When You're Expecting a Teenager. Learning the lingo.
GOAT, G-O-A-T, acronym, stands for Greatest of All Time. As in, spaghetti sandwiches for dinner? They're my fave. Dad, you're the GOAT.
You don't have to speak teen to be a perfect parent. Thousands of teens in foster care would love you just the same.